Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I'm jumping into the Amalgam universe with Spider-Boy Team Up number 1. Thanks for joining me today. I got a fun one. I love these Amalgam comics for the most part. I think it was a really fun event that happened in 96 and 97. But before I jump into it, I just want to say thanks to all the viewer support. Every like, comment, and subscription is appreciated. And if you're enjoying this positive comic content, please consider hitting thumbs up. Comments are always encouraged. And if you haven't already, why not subscribe so you don't miss any future videos? I created this channel to entertain and inform and maybe even inspire you to read some comics. If you think that is a good message and other comic fans need it in their feed, your likes, shares, and subs tell the YouTube algorithm to put it in front of them. Let's jump back into Amalgam. So, if you're unaware of what Amalgam Comics is, Marvel and DC had a big crossover event, Marvel versus DC, or DC versus Marvel. I think every issue flip-flop. It was a 4-issue miniseries. Fans got to vote on which characters won in the matchup, and that miniseries is not great. It's really not. All of those matchups that fans got to vote on were essentially like a couple of panels, not even a full page in most regards. But after issue 3, there was some event, and I don't even really remember what it was, but the universes merged. And so issues 1, 2, 3 came out, and then the next month, a series of one-shots came out that were taking a Marvel character and a DC character and mushing them together into a new character under this Amalgam Comics banner. And you can tell it has like parts of like the DC logo, like the DC bullet with the A, but it says comics, like Marvel had it, kind of the Marvel font up there too. So they were really like leaning into this mushed up version of the two universes. And these one-shots, for the most part, they're pretty good. I mean, they're fun, they're entertaining, right? And they set it up as if like the universe had existed. It wasn't like every issue is going to be an origin issue. It's very much played up as if like the Amalgam universe was the only one that ever existed. Now this one, I believe, was from the second wave though. So there was the Marvel DC crossover miniseries, Marvel versus DC miniseries. Like I said, issue 3, then a wave of these, and then issue 4 wrapped it up where the two universes separated. But it was such a success for, 1996, 97. They did it again the following year. They didn't do a full-blown miniseries revolved around it that I recall. It was just, we're going to do another wave of Amalgam Comics. And this was actually the second Spider-Boy book. The first one was just Spider-Boy. It may have been Adventures of Spider-Boy or something like that. But they wanted to play up on, how Spider-Man had the Marvel team-up book. And plus, it's a good excuse to have a lot more amalgamated characters if you're going to do this team-up book, right? So in this one, we're going to get the Legion of Galactic Guardians 2099. Playing up on the future aspects, the Legion of Superheroes, playing up on the future world of Marvel 2099, which had already kind of wrapped up at this point, I believe. I don't think any 2099 books were still going in 97. Maybe Spider-Man was kind of at the end of its run, but I don't recall exactly. This is obviously a mashup of Superboy of the time, the Connor Kent Superboy that came out of the reign of Superman, and Spider-Man. One thing I really like about this issue is it is Jose Ladronn as the artist. Jose Ladronn did a issue of his Cable in another video. Go check that out. He is Kirby as a genre type artist. At this point, he is really leaning into not just Kirby, but you also see his European influences. And I see Jeff Darrow and all this like wire stuff that's going on is coming through. He's really starting to meld a lot of his influences together at this point. And I love it. I really do love it. If we notice, we see this R.K. Sternzel, which is Roger Stern and Carl Kessel amalgamating their name. Pretty clever, just lean into it all the way. So Spider-Boy, he wears the jacket like Superboy does. His symbol is kind of the triangle, like a Superman symbol, but a spider inside it. He's wearing a mask that's covering his eyes, but his face is still pretty visible. I like how he has like a web shooter gun instead of out of his wrist. And then I don't know, I can't remember if his powers are full on, he can stick to the wall like Spider-Man, or if it's like his shoes and stuff that kind of do it. And I don't know who this character is merged with. I mean, I read The Reign of Superman. I didn't really stick with the Superboy title, so there's some things that I'm like, what is this from? This is obviously Vulture, but I don't know who this is. Maybe a guy named Scavenger. He must have had some kind of eye beams or something, and he's got even like a bionic arm. Look at the machine work on the top of this building. I mean, that's the crazy stuff. That's where I think Ladronn transcends just being like a Kirby imitator to something more. He likes the Kirby character designs, like these kind of squared off heads, chunky hands and stuff, but when he starts doing backgrounds, he dives into other influences. That cool panel here with like multiple figures as it falls down into the garbage dump. He loses his web shooter here, and this kid grabs it and runs off with it. That causes him to be kind of defenseless when this character, I think they call him Scavenger, or Scav Vulture, something like that. Maybe it was on the first page. Yeah, the Scav Vulture. So kind of has him in his crosshairs, and he's shooting at him, and then all of a sudden everything freezes and he's in this like time cube. And this is where it just starts going bananas. Now this guy I remember from the Superboy, I think his name was like Leech Grossman or something like that he was like Superboy's agent, and he was pretty slimy. And that's who this is pulling from, I'm sure. We have Dr. Octopus here. I don't know who the woman is. She may have been, there was a female Dr. Octopus around this time. It may be her. And then here's like a crossover with one of the other titles, which was called Challengers of the Fantastic. This character shows up, which is clearly the Silver Surfer and the Black Rider from the New Gods. And I don't know exactly what he's doing here. He kind of knocks out Dr. Octopus and the Rex Grossman, if that was his name. Anyway, he knocks them out and says that there's something going on that has to be witnessed by the Asgardian avatar of death, the Silver Racer. Pretty cool. That's the only panel we get of it, but it says to go see Challengers of the Fantastic #1 to get the full story.
Yes.
You know, it's in keeping definitely with like you're pretending that this universe is fully formed and these titles are interacting with each other. It feels weird and out of place here, and I wanted to see more of this character drawn by Ladronn, and we don't fit. So Spider-Boy gets sucked into a future, and we start seeing these amalgamated versions of the Legion of Superheroes, and I'm not even sure who all of them are even merging with, but you get the roll call here. I mean, this kind of looks like a Psy Girl, so I guess that's Psylocke. That looks like a Mr. Fantastic Fantastalad. Sunlord may have been Fire Lord, I guess. I mean, I don't even know who all these are merged with. But I'm going to trust Carl Kessel and Register Income, though. But you get the fun roll call page, and it's not the only one. And then they start talking about a bunch of time, mumbo jumbo. They only have 10 minutes. They got to put him back where he was. He is supposed to die. But before they can do it, this giant robot thing crashes in. And, I mean, this kind of looks like Gladiator from Daredevil. I mean, it's got, like, the cells on the side and everything. So, like I said, this is almost just like a big excuse to just play with a bunch of different characters. This is Brainiac and the Crystal guy from the original Guardians. This does predate the Guardians that everyone knows from the MCU movies. That version of the Guardians of the Galaxy is still 4 or 5 years away. So you're getting the future Guardians here, not even really the Jim Valentino Guardians. Like, is this guy supposed to be like the cyborg Superman? I don't know. Just all this detail on all of this. I mean, this is a fun book to look at. Look at this crazy looking monster, and it looks like something out of a Silver Age Superboy or Legion of Superheroes book. But something funky's going on here as we all of a sudden see Superboy and Spider-Man's arms kind of coming out of it. And that's why they're trying to explain, like, we've got to get you back, but now, like, this robot destroyed the thing they were going to send him back with. But fortunately, well, I guess this character shows up. This, like, cloaked character is coming to get Spider-Boy, and then this character comes and does the Terminator thing. Come with me if you want to live. A little past Terminator 2, that came out about 5 years before this book, but you know, it's so ingrained in, like, in society these days. It's kind of funny. Anyway, I love the bottom of his shoes. That's why I'm thinking he didn't really have full-on spider powers. Like, it looks like this is meant to give him the ability to stick somehow. But it's very consistent. Ladronn does a good job of keeping that consistent. It's a very intricate costume, really, when you look at it. I mean, it's got like a yellow zipper going down, the different webbing pattern, everything. These are cool pages. This 9-panel grid of a more dystopian style future. And he doesn't hang around in it for long because that cube thing opens back up and he's just like, I'm not hanging out here, I'm going. So he's just kind of jumping through these like parallel time vortexes, I suppose. And now he's in a different Legion headquarters. So, I mean, you look at this Legion headquarters. Compared to this one's like nice and clean, like very clean, smooth surfaces and stuff. And then you go to this one and it's almost like this is the first draft, all this pipe work and everything running through it. A lot more intricate machinery detail on it. You've got this Electro lad, I guess is his name, who very much looks like Electro, so you're getting that Spider-Man connection there. I like this panel here, that finger pointing off like that. That's a Kirby staple. Get another roll call page. Kind of weird here. It's like the water dripping off of his eyes. I will say, I was reading this the other night so I could shoot this video, and I wasn't reading it to my son, but he just happened to be laying there next to me while I was reading it. And it was so funny because he was like, who is this character? He looks like a ripoff of Superboy. And I was trying to explain the whole amalgam thing, which that just opens up a ton of questions of what caused it, how did they get out of it, blah, blah, blah. And it's been so long since I've actually read the Marvel versus DC that I couldn't really remember. You get another nice roll call here of the different amalgamated characters. That one looks like Dazzler, and then the Sparkler. It's just, his name was just Electron, the Electro-looking guy. You got Myrid, who's kind of like a multiple man, but female. Excel. Dark Star, looking kind of like Storm, maybe. Phantom Cat. I don't know. I mean, if anybody can tell who these are mashed up with, no, let me know. Let me know, because I don't know all of those mashups. I'm not that well versed in the Legion of Superheroes, so I definitely would not be able to pull all of those out. So they have a chrono device that they can send him back with, but they can't figure out how to turn it on. And he's just like, simply, did you try plugging it up? And they're like, oh, it uses electricity? And here's like the crazy looking plug. Great looking plug there too. I mean, he kind of thought that out on how this like crazy looking plug could work with the wires and everything. And they just decide, oh, our Electron can just send a current and power it up. So he does that. He goes back, and since he knew what was going to happen, he's able to jump out of the way of the Scavulture, which is a dumb name. He's kind of cool looking, dumb name. He's able to jump away. I like all the detail too in this blast, the rock stuff kind of flying away, the wreckage. I mean, detail all the way down to a fire hydrant in the back. He spares no expense. He spares, no pencil lead putting all this down. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that Jeff Darrow does. And this is why whenever I talk about Ladronn, I say he's Kirby with Jeff Darrow. Some people have even said Mobius. I can see that too. It's just this heavy, heavy detailed background with so many line marks, smoke, everything about it. Scavulture, well, the kid that stole his web shooter comes up and shoots him to help kind of save Spider-Boy. The kid that stole his web shooter earlier in the issue comes back. He was saying he thought it would be a good initiation into the Yancey Legion. But now, Spwit instead of Thwip. Spwit. Anyway, he gets shot by the Scavulture's arm that time. Nice panel here too. I like how the foreshortening of the character, the figure in the foreground, but he's hunched over into this askew panel with the character shooting him, kind of small off in the distance. A lot of detail on that one too.
Okay.
I like this gun here. So then it turns out there was a version of the Legion of Galactic Guardians 2099 that were there to witness the whole thing. And for, stupid time traveler reasons, they had to wait until this boy attacked and to make it all work out correctly. Look at this gun though. That is not a Kirby-esque looking gun, but it is at the same time. It's definitely a Kirby-esque looking hand holding it. I mean, that's just a unique looking thing. I like that. I dig that a lot. Here you've got your multiple gal. So after kind of questioning why they didn't step in to help until just now, and they give their time travel reasons, he's like, well, we got to get this kid to Cadmus, which is where he's made, just like Superboy was, to get him some help. And they give him a Legion ring, kind of like the Legion of Superheroes. Some other, Metropolis police come in, and it kind of looks like they're kind of S.H.I.E.L.D. That looks like Dum Dum Dugan there, kind of. And they take him to this mountain, the Fantastic Mountain. And here, we learn they're going to put him in the Phantom Zone, where he can heal properly. And he gets woken up in the future to become... they said he's going to wake up in the future and become one of the greatest heroes. And you can just see where this is going. He's going to be like Spider-Boy 2099. Right, so then this character, the cloaked guy from earlier, shows up, and he is some kind of amalgam between Kang and I think the character's name is Kronos, who's like a time-traveling, kind of the anti-hero, pseudo-villain character from DC. And he's saying that Spider-Boy is a nexus. There's several of them, but he's one of them, and he starts ripping him apart. I like this energy blasting off here. That's very much like the Marvel DC issue 3 or 4, where they were, ripping them apart, ripping the two universes apart. And you see he's being pulled apart. There's Spider-Man, there's Superboy. When out from the time thing jumps,
What?
Spider-Boy 2099. And he's able to hit the Kane character back enough for them to remerge. I mean, they're pretty much fully apart. They're a lot of line work on that webbing. It looks like Spider-Boy 2099 can shoot webs more like Spider-Man. Cool costume design with the full mask, but still kind of having the Spider-Boy insignia. That looks like something Mike Allred would sell that. And then it's like this Rama Tut guy, Kronos Tut, the Time Pharaoh. I don't know if that's a character that had appeared in one of the other books, but it's obviously a nod to Rama Tut, who, is Kane, some variation of Kane. And then it just wraps up here. But this is a fun book, especially for the Ladronn art. You get an awesome Ladronn pinup, very, manga-esque here. So much detail. I mean, look at the neon in the sign. I mean, this may be the issue. I think I was already following Ladronn on cable. This may be the one that I was like, wow, this guy is something special, really. He didn't start out on cable doing this much detail, but as that run goes on, he does start adding more and more detail. He's probably doing these about the same time, I believe. But that's all I got for Spider-Boy Team Up. I will do more Amalgam books. I used to have the whole set, but I don't anymore. I've just got a handful of them that I pick up when I run across them in $1-2 bins. I definitely want to do more because most of them are pretty fun. There's some that are like, okay, but like they're fun. No matter what, they're always fun just to see how like the writers come up with some crazy idea to merge whatever characters they got together. Does Spider-Man and Superboy work together? I mean, that's not one that I would have naturally put together, but it does work. So that's all I got. Until next time, read your comics.